In front of us today we have two new phones from a company called HMD, Human Mobile Devices. On the left is a self-repairable $300 HMD Fusion. And on the right, the self-repairable $450 HMD Skyline. Both of which, and this is true, can be fixed and repaired with just a screwdriver by a regular human. And here's the kicker, all without voiding the warranty. It almost sounds too good to be true, and then we hear that genuine replacement parts are also inexpensive and easily available directly through iFixit. See, look, I even took a screenshot of the website, so there are no takesies-backsies. If you carry out a repair on a self-repairable Nokia or HMD smartphone, the repair will be considered an authorized repair and will not affect the manufacturer's warranty. The world might just be healing. See, the whole goal of HMD is to make phones that stick around, and after selling more than 400 million devices in the last 8 years, HMD has decided, as they should, that some people can indeed be trusted with a screwdriver. And apparently there's only one screw between us and the internals. But you know how it goes, we'll scope out the insides after we finish with the outsides. Replacement screens for this gloriously blue, aptly named Skyline are already on iFixit's website, with same-day shipping for only $95. I hope Tim Cook is seeing this. With replacements that cheap, I feel even less guilty than usual, which is not at all, seeing those scratches appear at a level 6 with deeper grooves at a level 7. Obviously, there are some differences between the Skyline and the less expensive Fusion, mostly the cameras and internal processors, but we'll get to that more in a second. The front-facing hole-punch camera on both phones is 50 megapixels, right below some decently thick bezels and razor-thin stereo earpiece slit. The frame of the Skyline is made from metal, anodized aluminum to be exact. There is a scratchable recessed fingerprint scanning power button and a metal volume rocker. Up top we have a microphone hole and singular off-center antenna line, and on the left side more aluminum, with a very textured programmable action button. Down at the bottom things get interesting, because not only is there a 33-watt USB-C port and loudspeaker, but also an IP54 water-resistant SIM and SD card tray with its red rubber ring. The SD card slot allows you to add 1 terabyte of additional storage yourself, all for like $80. True freedom. And also down here we have that singular spring-loaded torque screw that supposedly unlocks and opens the entire device with a single rotation. We'll get to that in a second. The frame of the $300 Fusion is made from plastic, which might even be preferable to some. You might have noticed that the Fusion came out of the box already wearing a protective rubber case. The Fusion also has these metal pins on the back for something called smart outfits, which are like modular cases that do weird things all controlled by the phone. HMD has allowed anyone to tap into the API and 3D print their own accessories with freely provided CAD files, but that's going to be a project for another day. Back to the back of the Skyline, we get some unscratchable glass, at least from my razor blade, and that brings us up to the cameras. The slightly more premium $450 Skyline has a 108 megapixel main camera, a 50 megapixel telephoto camera, and a 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera, all in a slightly raised camera bump. If it were up to me personally, I think that extra $150 is worth getting the additional camera perspectives, since the less expensive Fusion only has a singular 108 megapixel lens. And yeah, there's a 2 megapixel depth camera, but nobody actually counts that one. Switching back to the Skyline, which possibly has the best wallpaper of all time for my burn test, the 6.5-inch screen is a 1000 nit 1080p 144Hz OLED panel, which we can verify by the pixels turning white after about 20 seconds and mostly recovering. The 720p display of the $300 Fusion is also the same 6.5 inches, but only peaks out at about 90 Hz like a standard iPhone, and has 600 nits of peak brightness. As we see from the pixels going black, it is an IPS backlit display, which definitely gets the job done to be sure, but isn't quite as vibrant or good for gaming. Being inexpensive or repairable doesn't do anyone good if it's not first durable enough to handle everyday life, which brings us to the bin test. And we see about what we would expect to see from a company who also makes the Nokia phones. No flex, not from the front or the back. I'm sure the metal frame and correctly placed non-centered antenna lines help with that solid structure, Going to the plastic Fusion phone, it has a bit more flex, which is slightly concerning around the area where the battery meets the motherboard, but it does not crack, creak, or most importantly, croak. Surviving a durability test, though, does not mean you should forego protection entirely. By far the easiest way to fix something is not having it break in the first place. So I always recommend a case, because protection is a good thing. But if the back panel does break, a replacement piece is just a pretty inexpensive $34, and can be shockingly completely removed with just one screw. No heat required. We find a 15-watt wireless charger attached to the back glass, and to make screen removal easier, HMD has made all 13 screws that hold the screen to the frame brilliantly blue. It's nice having humans help out other humans. If I can vent for a second, I read an article the other day about the scams being delivered by text messages being a multi-billion-dollar industry, obviously run by terrible humans. I even get those scam texts on my own personal phone, which is why I've partnered with a company who's trying to educate and make the digital space safer, a company called Bitdefender. They have a new protective layer for your digital life called Scam Copilot, which is an AI-powered sidekick that detects and fights sophisticated online, email, and texting scams in real time. Online scams of all kinds are rising every year to the tune of $1 trillion, and a smart person such as yourself might understand the difference between phishing and phishing, but for sure your parents or grandparents might not. With Bitdefender, you can now protect your family and your future inheritance at the same time with the help from the Scam Copilot chatbot, which uses specialized AI to help users spot, interpret screenshots, and talk about scams using natural language conversation. You don't have to take my word for it though. Bitdefender has been a global cybersecurity leader for the past 2 decades, delivering protection to millions of customers and businesses worldwide. One Bitdefender account can protect 5 devices at a time, both computers, iPhones, and Androids. It also gets you unlimited VPN traffic, a password manager, and identity protection. I'll leave a link in the description for your Bitdefender Premium security subscription with a discount, and thanks to Bitdefender for sponsoring this video. With 13 screws gone, I can poke my SIM card tool into a hole near the cam screw that leveraged off the rear panel, and the screen basically falls away from the phone body. If you remember to unplug the right ribbon, of course, which is literally the ribbon on the right side. The peace of mind knowing that a screen repair only costs $99 and doesn't void your warranty is priceless. For reference, an iPhone screen replacement from Apple costs about $380, which is almost the cost of a new phone, and I'm sure it's priced like that intentionally. Genuine HMD Skyline battery replacements are also $30 on iFixit's website, all 4,600 milliamp hours of it, and again for reference, iPhone batteries are about 120. The rest of the screws we see are holding in parts that don't typically need to be repaired as often. The top plastics come away with the NFC pad on top, revealing a blue motherboard. I'm sensing a theme here. The motherboard can be lifted up from the top side, revealing more blue plastic and some gray thermal foam, helping move heat from the Snapdragon 7 Gen 2 to the copper vapor chamber. The 108 megapixel camera does not have any OIS, neither does the 50 megapixel telephoto nor the 13 megapixel ultra wide. The loudspeaker at the bottom is also available for $20 on iFixit, which is nice. And finally, the charging port can also be replaced with a genuine HMD part for just $25. I think it's safe to say that I've never had a smartphone come across my desk, go through my tests and teardown, and still come out the other side with its warranty intact. At least not until now. The HMD Skyline and Fusion are a massive step forward for humanity, and in a world of greedy CEOs and rising costs across the board, it's just really cool to see a company do something that benefits the average Joe. And just like that, the Skyline is sealed back up tight, IP54 rating most likely still intact, with no external signs that it was ever taken apart. HMD's self-repairable phones get a thumbs up from me. Thanks a ton for watching. I'll see you around.